If you're going to visit Yellowstone National Park and you're trying to figure out what to do, then you're in the right place. In today's episode, we're going to look at the top 10 Yellowstone Scenic Drives. Hi, I'm James Ian, and I've written numerous guides and published several itineraries for Yellowstone National Park. You'll spend a lot of time driving in Yellowstone National Park, and some of it will be purely functional, just to get between the various Yellowstone attractions. But a lot of the driving around Yellowstone that you'll do will be a highlight of your visit, if you know where to go. By sharing the top scenic drives, I'm going to help you have the best trip possible. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe right now. If you're watching or listening somewhere else, follow my podcast to get the episodes as they come out. Including these drives will help you get the most out of your trip and avoid that sinking feeling when you get back and someone asks, "Did you see blah 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 in Yellowstone?" And you have to reply, "No," because you didn't know about that particular drive. So be sure to stay to the end, where I'm going to share my absolute favorite Yellowstone Scenic Drive. But let's get right into it. So, what are the best Yellowstone drive options? Remember to stay to the end, where I'll be sharing my favorite one. You want to make sure you don't miss out on it. What's a great scenic drive to include on your Yellowstone road trip? A great and short scenic drive in Yellowstone is Firehole Canyon Drive. This short scenic drive is a one-way loop that runs roughly parallel to the Grand Loop Road heading south. It's a beautiful drive through the small Firehole Canyon, beside the Firehole River, passing several geysers along the way. The canyon is formed from dark rhyolitic rock and has been carved by the Firehole River. There are several pullouts along the way where you can stop and take photos, but the highlight is the 40-foot Firehole Falls. There's a small parking area near the falls where you can get out and take photos safely. One of only two places that you can swim in Yellowstone is also along this drive past the falls. Despite the name of the river, the water is not hot. It's actually fed by snowmelt that is very, very cold. The drive is a 2-mile one-way loop. You get there by taking the main road, Highway 191, heading east out of West Yellowstone for 14.5 miles to Madison Junction, then turn right heading south, and about 0.6 miles, you'll see a small sign for the Firehole Canyon Drive on your right. This is the start of the drives. What's another great drive in Yellowstone? Another of my favorite drives in Yellowstone National Park is the Firehole Lake Drive. This drive is also a loop off the main Grand Loop Road. It passes several hot springs and geysers, but it's not a canyon, it's a lake. Not surprisingly, given the name. The first pullout on the left, you can stop and see Firehole Spring, which is a blue pool rimmed with orange. At the next pullout, also on the left, is the deep blue Surprise Pool. Next up is Grand Fountain Geyser, which erupts every 8 to 12 hours. Further along is White Dome Geyser. Its white dome is obvious and it erupts every 10 minutes to 3 hours, typically every 15 to 30 minutes, so you shouldn't have to wait too long. It's a reliable and picturesque geyser to see. A little further along is Pink Cone Geyser. It erupts every 6 to 48 hours, typically lasts between 30 minutes and 3 hours. And then you'll come to the drive's namesake lake, Firehole Lake. This is a good place to get out and explore. There's a boardwalk around Firehole Lake, and it's worth a short walk. In the same area, you can also visit Black Warrior Lake, which is across the road, and the nearby Steady Geyser and the tiny Hot Cascade. The drive is one way, 3 miles in total. To get there, it's a one-way road heading north on the Grand Loop Road between Old Faithful and Madison. It loops back to the main road in a counterclockwise direction. One important thing to note is that RVs and trailers are not permitted because the road is quite narrow. What's another top drive in Yellowstone National Park? One of the best scenic drives in Yellowstone is the south rim of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. The canyon area of Yellowstone is famous for two things: the colorful and truly spectacular Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone and the stunning Yellowstone Falls. Yellowstone Falls are split into two tiers, the 108-foot upper Yellowstone Falls and the lower falls, which are 308 feet tall, which is more than double the height of Niagara Falls. They're a quarter of a mile apart, and because of a bend in the river, you can't actually see them together. You can see the falls from both the north and the south rims of the canyon, and you can drive along both rims. The South Rim Drive goes from near Canyon Village to Artist Point, where it dead ends, and then you need to drive back the way that you came. 0.6 of a mile after leaving the Grand Loop Road, you come to a turnoff on your left to Uncle Tom's Point. There's a large parking area here. This is the trail for the Uncle Tom's Trail and the viewing area for the Upper Falls, which is just across the parking lot from where the Uncle Tom's Trail starts. The Upper Falls may be shorter than the Lower Falls, but they're still very impressive and totally worth the stop. Then continue along the South Rim Drive for another mile to the end of the road. There's a large parking area here. A short walk takes you to Artist Point, which is the most famous and popular place to photograph the Lower Yellowstone Falls with the canyon in the foreground, kind of like the classic view. The drive is 1.5 miles each way. It is out and back. Today we're looking at the most beautiful scenic drives in Yellowstone National Park. Another great Yellowstone drive is the North Rim of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. The North Rim is longer than the South Rim, forming a long one-way loop off the Grand Loop Road. There are several viewpoints along the North Rim. There are also a couple of hikes that you can take down below the canyon rim for truly amazing views of the Lower Yellowstone Falls. But these are steep with lots of steps and or switchbacks, so you do need a reasonable level of fitness to do them. You don't for the drive, and there's viewpoints along the rim. So 0.2 of a mile after you enter the drive, there's the parking lot for the brink of the Lower Falls on both sides of the road. The brink of the Lower Falls Trail takes you to a viewing platform that's perched right at the top of the Lower Falls so that you can see the true power of the water as it plunges over the edge. It's amazing. There's also really great views down the canyon. The trail is steep. It descends more than 300 feet in 0.4 of a mile down a series of switchbacks. Another 0.4 miles along the drive, there's another small parking area on the right. This one's for Lookout Point, where there are views of the Lower Yellowstone Falls. It's a short, easy walk. It's also the trailhead for the Red Rock Point Trail, which is not easy. That descends 260 feet in 0.3 miles to a point next to a red rock inside the canyon, with breathtaking views of the Lower Falls if you're able to get there. Back in your vehicle, you can continue along the North Rim Drive for more canyon and waterfall views at Grand View, which is 0.9 miles from the start, and Inspiration Point, which is along a short spur road off to the right, 1.3 miles from the start. Then 2 miles from the start, you'll get to the Canyon Village parking area on your left. There's a large visitor center here, as well as restaurants and a shop. The drive on the north rim of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is 2.2 miles. What's a fun drive in Yellowstone National Park? Well, another of my favorite Yellowstone drives is Dunraven Pass. At 8,859 feet, Dunraven Pass is the highest mountain pass in Yellowstone National Park. It's on the Grand Loop Road near Mount Washburn, which is the highest peak in the park. The pass was named after Earl Dunraven. Well, technically it's named after the nearby Dunraven Peak, which was named after Earl Dunraven. And the road proceeds up and down a series of switchbacks as it gets to the top of the mountain pass, where there's a pullout where you can stop safely and take photos of expansive panoramic views of the surrounding mountains. This section of the Grand Loop Road between Tower Junction and Canyon Junction is a total of 18.3 miles. Highlights are the panoramic views and the nearby Mount Washburn Trail if you're interested in hiking. Before we look at more scenic drives in Yellowstone National Park, if you're watching this on my @National Parks Collecting YouTube channel, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe below. What's another great drive in Yellowstone? A drive that's completely different from the others is the Mammoth Hot Springs Upper Terraces. The Mammoth Hot Springs area of Yellowstone National Park is different from the rest of the park. Here you'll find incredible terraces and other formations made from travertine limestone deposited by the mineral springs and colored with thermophiles, which are heat-loving bacteria. Most of the terraces can be seen on a series of boardwalks from the lower terrace, but on the upper terrace, you can drive. You can walk if you prefer, but it's designed as a drive past some of the smaller terraces and several incredible travertine formations. Soon after you start the drive, there's a small parking lot on the right. You can park here if you want to access the boardwalks, including the gorgeous Canary Spring. But then back in your vehicle, the first main point of interest is Cheops Pyramid off to your right. This is a picturesque, vaguely pyramid-like series of small terraces. Soon after is the, in my opinion, uninspiring Prospect Terrace, and then New Highland Terraces on your left, which looks a bit like a frozen waterfall. Next up is Orange Spring Mound. There's a short wheelchair-accessible boardwalk around the end of the large colourful mound. And across from the now drained Bath Lake on your left is the lovely Aphrodite Terrace on your right. These classic travertine terraces are dripping and encrusted with golden colours, really pretty. Next up is White Elephant Back Terrace, which, due to the lack of thermophiles, is mostly white. And then the last main point of interest on the drive is Angel Terrace. The whole thing is a one-way loop, 1.5 miles. It's off the most northern part of the western section of the Northern Loop between Mammoth Hot Springs and Norris. RVs, buses, trailers are not allowed on the road, so you would need to park and walk. Parking at the formations can be tricky in the peak season, but again, it is possible to hike. What's another top drive in Yellowstone National Park that you should do? Well, you should definitely drive through Hayden Valley. Hayden Valley is the other main area in addition to Lamar Valley, where you can see wildlife such as bison, wolves, bears, trumpeter swans. I've actually seen more bison here than in Lamar Valley. Not surprising, perhaps, given that Hayden Valley is the home to the largest herd of free-roaming bison in the world. Heading south from Canyon Village, the road hugs close to the Yellowstone River as you enter the valley. Then near the Alum Creek trailhead at the bottom of a small hill just before Hayden Valley Overlook, there's a calm bend in the river where I've often seen trumpeter swans. 3 miles further along, there's another well-marked pullout with views of the valley at Trout Creek. And then another 0.7 miles is the Yellowstone River Overlook. Both of these are good places to potentially see wolves. A further 1.2 miles down the road, there's a parking lot on your right for the Mud Volcano area near the southern end of Hayden Valley. There's a series there of boardwalks, including a loop uphill to Sour Lake. This is a major geothermal area, and you can see the angry waters of the churning cauldron and steam coming out of the Dragon's Mouth Spring, grizzly fumarole, and more. It's worth a look for sure. There's also a good chance of seeing bison there, especially early in the morning. I heard a bison that completely surrounded the boardwalk, so you couldn't actually go through it, but it was a nice addition to the geothermal features. Just if that happens, obviously stay a safe distance away. The drive through Hayden Valley is approximately 7 miles long. It lies mostly to the west of Yellowstone River, between Yellowstone Lake to the south and Canyon to the north. The valley forms part of the lower loop of the Grand Loop Road. It's worth getting to Hayden Valley early in the morning to have the best chances of seeing animals and birds. The best strategy is to stop wherever you can, ask everyone you meet, and keep your eyes peeled. And binoculars or a spotting scope and a zoom lens for your camera are very helpful. There are plenty of great scenic drives in Yellowstone. What's one more? This one is actually just outside the park, so I'm cheating a little bit, but you absolutely have to do it, and that's the Beartooth Highway. Beartooth Highway is widely considered one of the most beautiful scenic drives in the entire country, and it starts and ends near the northeast entrance to the park. In fact, it's the only way to get to the park's northeast entrance from the east. It is closed in winter, but when it's open, it's absolutely spectacular. It winds 56 miles from the northeast entrance to Beartooth Pass before it starts to descend to Red Lodge, Montana, a further 31 miles away. If you're driving this as a day trip from Yellowstone, then the pass is a logical place to turn back. From the pass, you can see the famous Bear's Tooth and the breathtaking mountain views. Beartooth Pass is at an altitude of 10,947 feet, so it's very prone to winter weather, even when it isn't winter. In the very brief summer, wildflowers burst into bloom in the area, super pretty. Along the way, there are incredible mountain views as the road passes through several ecosystems, from lodgepole pine forest to alpine tundra. I recommend stopping off at Beartooth Lake, which is 23 miles from Cook City. Along the way, you can also have a picnic lunch at the Clark's Fork picnic area, which is just 3 miles from Cook City. The whole thing from the Yellowstone's north entrance to Red Lodge is 86 miles. And if you're coming from the west, from Yellowstone, you'll continue through Lamar Valley along Highway 212, which goes through Cook City Silver Gate and then becomes the Beartooth Highway. The road is officially open from Memorial Day to mid-October, but it can be temporarily closed at other times of the year, especially in the spring and fall due to snow, so check for current conditions, and then it's closed completely for the winter season. What's another suggested drive for first-time visitors to do in Yellowstone National Park? This one's a bit of a cheat, but it's the Grand Loop Road. It's a bit of a cheat because it's the main way to get around the park, but it is also a scenic drive. Yellowstone is huge. It has several distinct areas. All of them are connected by the Grand Loop Road, which is basically a large figure 8 through the park. Several of the other scenic drives in the park are actually just a section of the Grand Loop Road or are a side loop off the Grand Loop Road. Driving the Grand Loop always takes longer than the time given on Google Maps, so allow extra time. Traffic can be slow, there's lots to see along the way, there's plenty of places to stop and get out of your vehicle. It's not uncommon for herds of bison to walk down the road, which causes all traffic to stop and build up. So you should always check the National Park's website for current conditions, for any road works, maintenance works happening, for any road closures. The only section of the Grand Loop Road that is open year-round is the section between Mammoth Hot Springs and Tower Junction, along with the road between Gardner and Mammoth, and then the road from Tower Junction through Lamar Valley to Cook City Silver Gate. The remainder of the road is open to over snow travel only in the winter months. So what's the number one scenic drive in Yellowstone National Park? So far today, we have looked at 9 amazing drives. There's just one left. So stay to the end to hear my absolute favorite drive in Yellowstone. But before we do, a quick recap. There are drives to see geothermal activity. There are drives to see waterfalls, to see animals, to see mountain scenery. You may be wondering, how can you combine all of those drives into one trip? Is it possible? Yes, it is, as long as you stay long enough. So I've done all of that planning for you. I've created detailed itineraries for 1, 2, 3, and 4 days. If you want to see all of them, then stay 4 or even 5 days. But the itineraries combine all of those drives or other activities, hikes, other highlights, viewpoints, etc. And then that detailed schedule is broken out into lots and lots and lots of supportive information, driving directions and maps, hiking trail descriptions and maps, tips, information, when and where to see the best views, etc. Everything is timed so that you don't need to worry about anything. You can just pick this up and you can go with it. If you want to customize it a little bit more, it's already customized in that there's different options at different times based on different activity levels. But if you want to customize it even more, you have all of the information to do that. It's designed to be a plug and play, but some people do customize it a little bit more. And that's easy to do because all of the information, all of the timing, all the descriptions are included there. The link for these takes you to a page on my Parks Collecting website, is in the show notes below. So just click there and it will give you even more information. But they are really designed to take away the overwhelm and to give you all of the information you need in one spot so that you don't need to worry about missing out on a highlight. You don't need to stress about how you put everything together. And everything will be there in a schedule in the way that makes the most sense. Just follow the link in the description below. Now, as promised, what's my number one scenic drive in Yellowstone National Parks? My absolute favorite drive in Yellowstone is Lamar Valley. Yellowstone National Park is often nicknamed America's Serengeti. The national park is home to more than 200 species of animals, and the most common place to see them is Lamar Valley. The valley is not that big. It's only about 28 miles from the turnoff near Roosevelt Lodge to the park's northeast entrance, but it's widely considered the best place in Yellowstone to see wildlife. Not only is it home to wolf packs and herds of bison, but if there is one place in the entire national park where you may see all the park's big 5, wolves, bison, bears, grizzly and black bears, elk and moose, then this is it. Other animals you can see include pronghorns and bighorn sheep. And there are numerous pullouts alongside the road where you can stop and see the wildlife safely. In the warmer months, you can enter Lamar Valley from the northeast entrance of the park near Cook City, Montana, by driving over the Beartooth Highway and then continuing on through the northeast entrance. If you're coming from the west, you can either enter Yellowstone at the north entrance, which is accessible year-round, or follow the Grand Loop Road, which is open in the non-winter months. If you're coming from the south, then you'll follow the Grand Loop Road up in either direction of the loop to Tower Junction. And then the western end of Lamar Valley starts at Tower Junction. Now, if you want help planning your trip, just check the links in the description below. There's plenty of planning and booking resources there that will help you plan and book your trip. And of course, keep watching my videos to get even more help so that you can have the best national park vacation ever. And if you want to get notified about the next episode, subscribe and click below.